self-control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, this special announcement brought to you by the Paranormal Portal Studios. Indeed, it turns out that Facebook is down. Ladies and gentlemen, Facebook is down. Please go to your basement, grab a flashlight, and try to remain calm. The Facebook staff are currently working diligently on the problem, but the portal is open. Yes, we are here. We are live. We are kind of ready even. Kind of. You know, in terms of ready being, you know, that we're here. We're in the place that we're supposed to be to do the show. You know, but actually being prepared is another thing as I light the moon behind me. Boom. Okay. The moon is lit. The screen is rolling. And I got to make sure to set this up. Don, is your microphone working?
What the hell just happened?
I don't know.
I don't either. Hello, hello. Yes, I hear myself.
Okay, good. Talk.
Do
talk.
I hear me?
Yeah, go ahead
Hi,
and talk.
All. How are you? Oh, look. Hey, I'm still not on screen. Oh, there I am. What are you doing? Oh,
I gotta
see. So this is what happened. So we've been trying to pull up stories and stuff and post. You know, the show's on, and then all of a sudden, nothing's working. You know, no Facebook. You know, we can't. You know. Can't do anything. So I'm like overly lit over here, and the background's not done. And wow,
the background is done.
It is now. Yeah, it is now. But yeah, it's just that's the way it works, you know.
I'm gonna pop out my Chad here so you get less reflection. Hold on.
Your Chad?
No, I don't pop out. I don't pop out my Chad for anybody, Don. I'm married.
Oh, I was just thinking about, you know, gore, you know, hanging Chads and such. So, you know, whatever.
What's that?
Wow, people are mad at Facebook tonight.
Yeah, well, you know, it just goes to show you, people are absolutely enamored with social media.
Social media, yeah, definitely.
It is taking the place of traditional friendships and stuff. I mean, it's how some people
traditional.
It's how some people have lives, you know. I mean, it's like, hey, I got to go check my messages, and you know, it's not, hey, I got to go meet my friend for coffee. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And so when it's down, Brent's a fairy. What the hell? And Don's a Bigfoot. I'm a fairy. You're a Bigfoot, Don.
I'm a big beard.
Well, you are kind of scruffy. This entertainment is brought to you by the letter O. Oh my God. Thank you very much.
Show me your own face.
What?
Nothing.
I don't know what you just said, and I think that's one of those that I don't really want to know. I don't want to know, but I'm still dying to know.
Okay.
Something's wrong with me in that sense. I should know better.
Hey, so you managed to get a phone line.
We got a phone line, ladies and gentlemen. The new number is right up there. Right up there.
It's 720-999-235. 0500.
Okay, and that.
Wow, I said it and typed too many zeros.
Okay.
720.
Well, there you go. 720-923-0500
0500
is the dedicated Paranormal Portal call-in number. If you missed last night's show, you would know that I unveiled it last night on the bedtime stories. It just got secured, got it set up, and we tested it live on the show, and it works brilliantly.
I know what's wrong.
It works brilliantly.
Excellent. It sounded great too, because I heard Deb and Julia called and Hacker called. Yeah.
Yep, it was great, and it's working well, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to be a part of our Wednesday show, the number is there. It's live, and if you have something you'd like to talk about or share, or you have something to contribute to the conversation, but the lines are open. We are always available now, which may be a bad thing. No, I don't think so. You guys are always wonderful. But anyway, welcome to the Wednesday show. This is our Paranormal Mayhem, which is it just means that Don and I are going to sit here and just talk and discuss things. But first of all, Don, you had a really interesting conversation on social media when it was working.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and this was a conversation I had like it was yesterday actually.
Okay.
So it was before everything went down and life failed.
And the blackness encompassed the world as we know
exactly.
it.
So
okay.
So I was perusing one of my Facebook's groups and somebody had asked the question: is Bigfoot is Sasquatch a cannibal? Because and then it said Bigfoots technically are omnivores. However, bears are omnivores too, and they eat other bears. And he also makes a statement, I don't think so. I don't think Sasquatch would be a cannibal because of their higher intellect. Now, I thought that was kind of interesting because, first of all, you're going to make a statement that says, you're going to ask the question, is Sasquatch a cannibal? But you're going to say no because he's an omnivore. And then you're going to point out that other omnivores are cannibals. Okay, so, where's your line of thinking?
But it's a smart omnivore, and that's the difference.
That's got to be it. Yeah, it's a smart omnivore. Now, that may be true. I mean, because they've been smart enough to avoid us all these years. So yeah, they're a smart omnivore. But let me pull this up, and I got to do it on. Now, just so you know, my Facebook app on my phone is working like aces.
Yeah, mine was too. I was able to post that little behind the scenes I don't know if it's a cartoon. It's just it's a parody, I guess.
Portal parody.
It's a Portal parody. It's if you haven't seen it, go to the Brent Thomas Facebook page when it works, and you can see these little videos I made using one of those face apps. Okay. It's hilarious. I laughed. I watch them and laugh just as hard as everyone else has been. And thank you guys for the support. It's been funny. It just cracks me up.
Yeah, they have been cute. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
It's just nice to see. You get
steak. MCAT says steak. I love steak. Oh my God.
So anyhow.
Okay, so you're on this group. You had this discussion.
Yeah, we were having this discussion.
Okay.
And so I said, because oddly enough, the night before was Wednesday, and I was calling. It was Saturday. No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. No, it was Saturday. Saturday. Okay. Anyhow, oddly enough, is Sasquatch a cannibal? I don't think so because they're too smart. But bears are cannibals, or bears are omnivores and eat carrot. Okay, so that's the question. It made no sense, really, because you're gonna say that. Anyhow, I've already pointed all that out. So I said it's funny. I replied back, funny. I just watched this video where a hunter shot and killed a Sasquatch, and another tribe of Sasquatch, I didn't say that, but Sasquatch came and ripped it apart and ate it as this guy watched. So
in horror, I mean.
Well, I don't.
I would be in horror, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So so there's that. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream. There's 19 watching and only 13 likes. Fried steak and gravy. I just made a roast.
Don, you're being really random.
I know, huh? So anyhow, so somebody comes back and says, two people asked me for for the link. So I provided the link, and they said I couldn't provide it. One of them said I couldn't provide it in the Facebook because it's not something they talk about. It may be against the rules to share that. I'm like, then why is somebody asking if he's cannibal? Anyhow, so I shared it, and they're like, oh, well, I don't agree with that, because Sasquatch is not a cannibal, but Bigfoot is. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Sasquatch? Booger?
Ruh-roh.
Wood booger?
What the hell?
Bigfoot? Aren't they the same?
Okay, so
I mean, we're talking about semantics, right?
it is. It's just a semantical difference. Now there are different types, as we all agree. There are different types: type 1, 2, 3, 4. Or some people say there's more than 4 types. Some people say there's 3 types. But whatever, there are different variations. But the beings themselves, as a quote unquote genus, are known as Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, or
Boogers,
wood boogers, or skunk apes, or grassman, or what, the names go on and on and on.
right?
But these, so how did they come to this conclusion, Don?
I really don't know. So the person that said that Sasquatch and Bigfoot are actually 2 different species, they came to this conclusion through their own research. Her and her research partner came to the conclusion that Bigfoot. So another thing I said is there's no difference in the names. A booger is a Bigfoot is a Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is in the types 1, 2, 3, and 4 that most people agree on, right?
Yeah, most.
And so I got back, you're entitled to that opinion. Well, thank you. Well, said, I asked, do you not agree? And what is your understanding? And this person refers back to a posting that she made during this thread to a blog that she wrote.
So, and here's the thing, that you can't recreate the whole narrative just because you think, you know what I mean? There's still unifying terms.
Yes.
You can't recreate what those mean just, in your own special research. And I'm not disparaging this person as a researcher. That's great. Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
But don't recreate the definitions of what these things mean just because you seem to have a differing opinion, or come up with a whole new word.
Right.
Come up with your own new word, but don't reassign old words to mean something that you've decided. Because, I mean, how do you even discuss it? It's
Orange County girl in the chat says, I know the difference. Bigfoot's part their hair on the right, Sasquatch to the left.
Solved.
I mean, don't take the old names that not everybody, but a lot of researchers agree on,
mm-hmm.
that they are interchangeable. Sasquatch, Bigfoot,
right?
Boogers, Yeren, whatever. Mm-hmm. Abominable snowman.
Yowies.
Yowies, yeah, exactly.
Almasties.
So, we all agree that these mean the same thing. They mean this big hairy hominid,
right.
a cryptid with, big feet. And, and a lot of, especially our guests, they all agree that they're all the same, somatically, mm-hmm. but they're different in type.
Right. There are different types of Sasquatch. There are different types of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. There's type 1 Bigfoot or Sasquatch. There's type 2 Bigfoot or Sasquatch. There's type 3 Bigfoot or Sasquatch. And type 4 Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Now, that's how we identify what these things are in terms of, well, it's not a dog man, it's a Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Right.
And so everybody understands what that means. They know that means Paddy or something Paddy-like.
Right.
From the Patterson-Gimlin film. And so to redefine those definitions based on your own individual observation and supposition is going to be nothing but confusing. You can't just arbitrarily redefine common terminology because you seem to think it means something else. And, take it or leave it.
Hey, you know what?
What?
a potato is actually a tomato.
Well, yeah, and it's not. And it never will be. And no matter how much your research may suggest otherwise.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, it's just, I love that people are out there looking into this stuff. I really do. I think that's awesome. I think it's cool. I think it's great that people are getting involved in the discussion. They're getting involved in the research. But you can't recreate the narrative just because you're interested, and that you may have come to some different conclusions. Create a new word then. Right. Create an all-new word that means what you think. You can say that Bigfoot or Sasquatch are two different types that we have identified in our research, and it's type A or B, or whatever. Right. However you want to do that. But, it's a silly thing. It really is a silly thing. And it sounds to me, essentially what it sounds to me like is that this person was challenged. And so, it's one of those
I challenged him again.
Right.
Because I went back and I said, I've talked with and interviewed many Bigfoot hunters, and they all say, in general, Bigfoot and Sasquatch are interchangeable. The difference is in the typing or the various types.
Right.
Please share with me other Bigfooters that support your assertions.
Any response?
Not yet.
Yeah, no, they probably won't be. I'm thinking, and I'm not meaning to call this person out or disparage this person, but
I just want it so I can do my due diligence and look at these other people's work that say the same, that have that same idea.
We can feign objectivity about their idea. I personally don't like it at all, and even if they have other people backing them up, it's only going to create more confusion by redefining these things.
Yeah.
We already have a lot of confusion in the Bigfoot communities and, in cryptid research. So don't create more confusion by redefining agreed on terminology that everybody currently understands.
Oh, God. Well, the common terminology, but that's not what it's called. It was called something, and I forgot what the hell it was. But anyhow.
Right. I got you.
Because I'm a dummy.
Well, I just thought it was important to address that because, this, ladies and gentlemen, definitely demonstrates
the derision within the community.
Right. That's exactly it. It's totally identifying, just the disparaging ideas. And you're right. Derision is a good word. It's like there's so many. And everybody's pretty sure they got it dialed in.
Right.
And, quite honestly, none of us do.
No.
None of us have this dialed in because there's no Bigfoot sitting in a cage currently where we can stare at it and poke it.
And that was something one of the other commenters were saying, too. But because this is all supposition, because barring a few, me not being one of them, but barring a few, there's never really been interaction between Bigfoot and humans, except for a few that we have, guests that we've had on,
right?
But there's no, they can tell their experience, and that's where they're coming from, and we honor that,
right?
But for me, and you've had encounters, but you've never really seen one,
right?
You've heard one. You believe there was one around us that day we were out at Bloom Lake.
I do, yeah.
And a lot of people say that's that noise we heard was more than likely a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, a booger, whatever you want to call it, some kind of big hominid letting us know that it's time to go.
Yeah, the big stomp, or jump out of a tree.
Thud.
Yeah. It sounded like a boulder hitting the dirt. It did.
It's like, but the point is that the other commenter said this is all supposition because we don't have one that is not good. So it's all supposition.
It is.
It's all theory. It's all theory. Mm-hmm. This is what we boil it down to. Now there are people that say that they've had close encounters with rakes. There are or species 2 or species type 2, something like that. Anyhow, and hey, you know what? If you want to have a close encounter with a rake, you go ahead. I don't want that one,
No,
but I don't want to face to face with a googway either, face eater.
No, I think you'd be better off with a rake, to be honest with you, than a googway.
But the point is that unless there's one that anybody can go and look at, observe, poke, prod, take DNA samples, it's all supposition. But there are agreed upon norms. There are agreed upon norms. Sasquatch is Bigfoot, is Booger, that kind of thing. But there are different types. That's me on my soapbox as an amateur researcher.
Right.
And so there you go.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We just wanted to address that because it just shows some of the weirdness going on, and I don't mean weirdness in a disparaging way, but you can't just redefine things.
Yeah, it goes back to derision. It separates everybody.
I can't take on her.
Yes, he can.
I can.
Orange County girl, you're absolutely right. Brent can't totally take on a rake.
Oh yeah,
he'd use a hoe.
Oh yeah. It's a mutiny. Click.
He'd use a hoe.
Yeah, well, I can't even say anything without sounding like an absolute pig. So I'm going to sit here quietly and stare at the camera like.
So I spent 3 hours on my roof today.
Yeah. Clearly.
I wanted to be at the pinnacle of my bestness. No, I was taking care of ice dams, which suck. So.
Those damn ice dams.
Those damn things.
All right, so we got a video that was sent in to us.
Thank you, Jim. Jim says you two are great together. You crack me up. Love the show. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, there can be only one long beard. That's all I'm saying.
Dana says Don's definitely on his A game tonight. Wow, I love you all.
Don.
Welcome to Wednesday.
Welcome to Hump Day's Eve, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hump Day's Eve presentation of the Paranormal Portal. This is our Paranormal Mayhem, and you never know.
This is a segment called Don's on a Soapbox. Whoa, hey.
Hey. That was my brother calling, actually, but he's going to have to wait. I should probably text him so that he doesn't try that again.
Diana, I'm sorry to hear you're a hot mess today. Why is that?
I always thought that sounded complimentary.
Apparently I like Don. Apparently Don likes hot messes.
No.
Don's on a roof. Okay, yes. Yeah, with a fiddle.
Yeah, but you were up there with the ice and stuff, so it wasn't a hot roof at all.
I come from the land of ice and snow. Anyhow, yeah, it was, wow, that...
Let me just text my
I was actually up there with a snow shovel, my hose that was hooked up to my hot water connection for my wash machine.
How many? Thank you very much.
How many? Hose. Yes. Okay. So I was on my roof with a hose. That took a while to I'm like, what is he talking about? Oh, yeah, I had my hot
I'm
mess
sorry,
hose.
ladies and gentlemen. Honest to God, I'm not a pig, and I don't speak ever disparagingly about women.
We're not talking about women. We're talking about hose.
We are discussing gardening implements at this point. We're not discussing derogatory female terms, just for the record.
So
This message is brought to you by the Paranormal Sensitivity Council. Oh God!
Oh wow! I had to. Okay, can I have your lighter back, please? Because I just blew.
Just make sure.
So hard, I blew my candle out.
Make a wish.
So anyhow, I'm up there with my water hose.
Thank you.
And I'm up there with my snow shovel and a sledgehammer. Sledgehammer.
Jesus, is this karaoke night or?
Well, Orange County girls singing boats and hoes, boats and hoes.
Yeah, I saw that. But that's Orange County girl. She can get away. She can get away with that.
Oh, but anyhow, so yeah, 3 hours up there getting that damn off. I tell you, I was aggressive this year. Last year I was up there like, oh God, this is gonna take forever. 3 hours, and I got like, well, it takes a long time to melt through like, 7 inches, 8 inches of ice. So that's why I took the sledgehammer.
The sledgehammer will do it.
Sledgehammer.
And you got it all cleared off.
Yeah, well, I got it. I got done what I needed to get done. So yeah, it was nice.
Okay, good. I have sent a text message. We should no longer be disturbed.
720
923 0500. Or 100, either one.
See,
For the lazy, it's 100.
Oh no, Lucy and Ethel. We just got called the male versions of Lucy and Ethel. I gotta be Lucy.
Oh my God, Lucy! Get over here, Fred. I'll be Ethel Mertz.
No, you know what? On second thought, I'll not be Lucy because oh Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Nah, I'll be Ethel.
Yeah, you can be Ethel. Thanks. That makes me Lucy.
Well, the Odd Couple.
Yeah, we could be the Odd Couple. We could do that. All right, so that is all cleared up. I should not be disturbed any longer. I hope not. There's no phone calls, which is good.
Dana, thank you very much. Coming this spring, Don's tale of roof repair from sledgehammer damage.
Yeah, it's like, what is that show, Home Improvement, where that guy screws up everything? Here's how you fix your roof, see? You take your sledge.
That sounds like Red Green.
Yeah, that's true. It does. Red Green. That's right. I love that show. I used to love that show. That was funnier than hell.
Wow. Anyhow, so what do you got? What do you got for stories?
You know, I'm going to show a video first.
A video.
A video that was submitted by our dear friend Julia.
Oh, really?
Truly, would I lie?
Well, let's see. What is it?
Well, this isn't on screen just yet. Just hold on.
Oh my.
Yeah, she sent this because last night I told a story about a thunderstorm that had happened and how I saw these what appeared to be glowing apparitions in the storm afterwards. Did you hear that story, Don?
No, I did not.
You did not.
I did not.
Well, you have to refer to last night's show, which is the.
Why don't you just leave me hanging? Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's just how I do. But Julia sent in this, and this was a capture that she had in a thunderstorm. She'll have to tell us where it was because I didn't get any background on it. But let's go. I can remember. I sometimes forget I have this little board here that does all the buttons. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
Well, don't be jealous. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a video Julia caught, and it's really pretty striking. Ba-dum-bump. See what I did there? Here it comes. Boom. That is amazing. That's a beautiful shot. Very cool.
Striking.
It was very striking. Yeah, isn't that amazing? It's going the right direction and everything, too. Again. That's beautiful. And that's a rare thing to catch. Now, in the age of cameras and the internet, of course, there's, being caught more often. But still, that's a really brilliant shot. And, you got to think, as fast as lightning goes, this seems to be traveling really slow, but I'll bet you it was pulsing about 3,000 times in that whole spread.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was like the speed of light, but all we caught was this slow spread. That's like, bam.
The stuff like that takes, and that's wow. Well, the problem, what I was going to say is that somebody is actually taking time to do something other than sit on Facebook.
Is there life outside of Facebook?
What's that?
What's that?
We're on YouTube. So
no, thank you, Julia, for sending that in, and please let us know where that was.
She shot it. She shot it standing outside, just waiting.
This was just
so
here in the area?
It must have been over there where she lives.
Julia lives right near us. She's like
10 miles away. Oh, no.
10 miles,
well,
like a few miles.
Okay, I live outside of town.
Yeah.
You live in town.
I live in town, so it's like I might be able to throw a rock and hit Julia's house from here. I'm not sure. No, I think she's in the neighboring area, though.
Yeah, well, within 2 miles, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that was right up there. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm in Ponderay. Yes, that's where I thought you were. Yeah, it's a beautiful shot. Beautiful video. Thank you for sending it in. I love lightning. I miss being able to see storms like that. In Minnesota, there were storms like that every week, and it was really amazing. Now, living up here, it's like certain times of the year you might catch a thunderstorm, or you might see some flashes from a thunderstorm, but not see the full storm. And I miss that so much because, I don't know. Here's the metaphysical part of this. And maybe you know this, maybe you don't. But I learned this a long time ago.
What did that say?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
I just heard it.
I did too.
Somebody's talking to us.
It says bait.
Bait.
B-A-I-T.
Portal bait. Wait, is it talking to me? Because that's what MCAT calls me.
Does he?
Yes, he calls me portal bait.
Portal bait. Okay.
Oh, boy.
It's all about you, Don.
Oh, God. You know, it usually is, dang it.
Wow, there was a spirit here for 31 seconds.
Where?
I don't know. It's gone. It doesn't.
Thank God.
Well, no, I mean, it was
Ugh.
in the area for 31 seconds, though. According to the ghost radar. I'm going to turn this up a little bit in case it happens again.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Bait is the word tonight. B-A-I-T. And if Don is the portal bait. Mm-hmm. Don't get nervous, Don. It's just a ghost. God.
Yeah, just a ghost.
Are you getting goosebumps?
I got goosebumpies.
This is
Don's gonna get touched. Don's gonna get touched. That's what. Repeat the last time. No, last time that was jail. No, Orange County girl. No.
what?
No,
Jailbait.
No. Portal bait.
Portal.
Portal bait.
Yeah.
Don't go there, Don. Don't say that.
Yeah. Stay way the hell away from that one, Don. I know where you're going. I don't hit the brakes. All right. So that was a great video, though. Thank you, Julia, for sending that in.
It was awesome.
But yeah, the story that I had was it was a brilliant thunderstorm. In a nutshell, I went outside afterwards. The ground had like this glowing mist over it. It was like pulsating and amazing.
Nice.
My son came out with me and looked at it, and we both watched it for a long time. But then he went back inside, and I was out there alone, and I saw this silhouette. It looked like it was made of just a wisp of cloud.
Wow.
But it was a person, and it was suddenly coming towards me, and probably got about this far away from me, like literally like standing right in my face, started leaning back and forth. I could barely see it. But I just kept staring straight ahead because you know how you kind of see something and then you turn your eyes and nothing's there?
Right.
And I was like, wait, I see this. I'm not moving my eyes. I'm going to keep it there. And sure enough, I watched it. And then all of a sudden it raised a hand and went like this in front of my face.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I see you.
Yeah, I see you.
And then it was like, and I said that out loud. I was like, yeah, I see you. And then it just suddenly left. It was just like shifted and went.
Wow.
And I was like, hey, did I just see a spirit? Was that a spirit? That's really cool.
So that was after a thunderstorm with rain?
It was, yeah.
So did you
very, very electric thunderstorm.
Did you see Rain Man?
I was the Rain Man, Don.
I knew
Of course,
you were special.
Wapner's on at 6. Wapner's on at 6.
Wapner's on at 6.
Yeah. No.
You saw a Rain Man.
Not that there's anything wrong.
We're starting new lore. Rain Man. We're starting new lore here.
I saw a Rain Man. Maybe that was a Rain Man. Yeah, let's just give it a new name.
There you go.
We're just inventing the paranormal, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it was after a rain. You know, if people can see a dark entity and call it a shadow people.
But this wasn't dark. It was like a light thing.
But that makes it a rain.
Right.
That's the difference.
Maybe it was a cloud man. So anyway, thank you, Diana. Diana said my son is literally the most adorable kid in the world. Aw, that's really sweet. Aw, yeah, he's pretty amazing kid. He's smarter than hell, though.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, isn't it?
It is. They get so smart so fast, and they pick up everything. My God, this kid has like radar. Kids can multitask. So I can do one thing and not hear anything my wife has said for a half hour. She can be talking to me for a half hour. If I'm busy doing something, it's like I've just got her in a different dimension in my head. It's like her lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying. You know? And
there's song lyrics coming up somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Now I know where that line came from, right? You must have been married. No, I'm just kidding. No, I love my wife. She's awesome. But my kid can be doing like 5 things. Watching YouTube, watching TV, playing with toys and doing stuff. And you'll say a cuss word and all of a sudden, Dad, what's that word? It's like, they pick up everything.
Didn't say anything.
They hear everything. They're like little, I don't know, spies or something. I don't know. They just suck up information. They're incredible, just incredible. So I love that he's so open and can do things like that. But at the same time, it definitely keeps me on my best behavior.
Hey,
he doesn't miss a thing.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, MCAT, just in case you missed it, the Ghost app said bait. B-A-I-T, bait.
Bait.
So there you go.
And there was apparently a ghostly presence among us for 31 seconds.
Something among us.
According to the ghost radar.
Oh, when did you put the flags up? I just noticed the flags.
I put them up today.
Oh.
So you didn't miss much. No,
Apparently not.
Elijah was playing with them. So, and of course they were left on the floor when he was done. So I picked them up and thought, I'll just put them on the set.
Nice.
So there they are. Patriotic. Because it's America. We're in America.
Pew pew.
Pew pew.
Pew pew. Pew pew pew. America.
All right, so we're going to do some more cryptid discussion here.
Okay.
What? Did you have something else you wanted
No,
to do?
keep going.
Okay. But the call board is open. Again, 720-923-0500 is the call-in number for the Paranormal Portal. This is our dedicated line now, ladies and gentlemen. If there's a portal going, the phone number works. No more just 2 days a week. It's now a 7-day excursion.
But once again, I would like to direct all complaints to 213-233-3998.
On Wednesdays at 7 p.m. That's still the Paranormal Portal complaint line?
Complaint line, yes.
Yeah, so feel free to call that number to complain. Because
I screwed up the phone number. 720.
Did you?
Yeah.
923.
923-0500.
Oh, you did near 928, huh?
Yeah, I put an 8 in there. I don't know.
I don't know either. Kind of looks like a part of a 3.
Yeah, it's like if you cut it like a piece, you cut the top part of the heart out and throw it on the side. Then you're good to go.
Or you just cut an 8 down the middle and throw away half of it.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some more Bigfoot talk. Because this is the Paranormal Portal, and we've kind of gone completely away from anything paranormal. So I just wanted to bring to you some. These are excerpts from the BFRO, and they have to do with encounters. And so here's one from Alabama in 1994. Alabama. About 14 years ago, my wife and I were at a lake in the middle of the Talladega National Forest in Alabama. The lake was Sweetwater Lake. From I-20, you get off at the Heflin exit and go through Heflin and get on Highway 78, and you'll see signs directing you to Pine Glen, a camping area, and Coleman Lake soon after this point. The roads are dirt roads, and you follow the signs to Pine Glen, and about 3 miles up the road, on the left, you'll see a sign for Sweetwater Lake. This road will go down about half a mile to the lake. Excuse me. It was September 1994, and we were fishing in a small boat at the end of a slough early in the morning, and we were the only ones at the lake. And I think it was on a Wednesday, and we were all alone, and we heard something scream. It started out as a howl and turned into a long, high-pitched scream, and it was so loud it echoed through the mountains. It made the hair stand up on the back of our necks. But that's not all. About a year before, my stepfather and I were hiking around the same lake. We like to fish at a spillway on the back side of the lake, and about a half mile into the hike, we crossed a fire break about 20 feet wide. And now, keep in mind that we're in pretty good way back in the woods, and we'd cross rocks, thorns, and briars, and all kinds of rough ground. And right there, across the dried mud in the fire break, is a set of footprints dried into the mud. They were not huge. They were about the size of a full-grown man, but they did look human. I just couldn't understand why a man would be this far back in the woods without shoes on. And over the years, there's one thing I have thought about a Bigfoot would have to grow up, so maybe it was young Bigfoot. I once worked with a man in Alabama that, after we became friends, told me he and his whole family were picking huckleberries at Sweetwater Lake. The huckleberries grow wild all over the area, and he and his wife and 2 children were picking away when they all heard something in the trees. They all turned around to see a hairy man standing there. He said it was a little taller than a man, and as soon as he saw them, it ran off into the woods. It scared them so bad that they left. So berry season. Now, it seems to me, and I've caught this on several researchers as well, but it seems to me that these guys might migrate along with the berry ripening. You know,
right?
You know, because if you watch any kind of maps that have to do with like blueberries or blackberries or things like that, the further north you are, the later they ripen. Mm-hmm. So it's like they start out ripe in the southern parts, and then it moves like a band up the areas. Mm-hmm. Now I'm thinking specifically of Canada and this area, but we have the huckleberries here. I was surprised to hear they have huckleberries in Alabama.
Oh.
Right? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. But
I didn't either. I'd never heard of them anywhere but here.
No,
In fact, I used to watch Huckleberry Hound, and I thought that was a made-up thing. Into my adult years, I'd never heard of what an actual
Really?
huckleberry was. Well, I'm from Minnesota. We don't have huckleberries that I know of. I've never heard of them.
Okay, you know what? I know somebody from Minnesota that thinks that milk comes out of a box.
Well, it does when you get it from the refrigerator.
Yeah, but no, out of a box, like a bag, like powdered milk. She thinks that's how you make milk.
Still?
Yes.
Like, up to how long ago?
Like it was like today years old when she found out that milk came from cows. She probably still doesn't know.
My kid knows that. He's 3.
I don't know.
How did she make it all the way up to big without knowing that?
How did you make it all the way here without knowing a huckleberry was a real thing?
Because where do they grow? They only grow like here. This is the only place that has huckleberries.
No, it's not. But apparently not.
Oh, apparently not. Apparently they're in Alabama too, which is news to me. So now I feel a little more stupid than I did before. Because apparently these are the best kept secret in the entire nation.
Do you know that no huckleberry picker will ever tell you where to go to get huckleberries because they will kill you over their huckleberries?
Yeah,
you know
I know
why?
that people are ravenous.
$45 a gallon in a gallon jug. $45.
You okay?
Oh, it ticks me off.
It does.
It's like honey. Honey is $45 a gallon around here.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you've got the area to have some hives.
Yeah, true enough.
You could have hives up there and get your own honey.
Yeah.
You got some honey up there in the hills, don't you?
But anyhow, yeah, it would make sense that they follow the ripening cycle.
Because I do believe that they're omnivores. And I do believe that they follow the raspberries, they follow the blackberries. I think raspberries and blackberries kind of mature at the same time, right?
Yeah.
They're real close.
Yeah,
so,
and marionberries too.
And when they can get off the pipe. They ripen up quick once they get off the pipe.
Oh boy. That for anybody who's old enough, there you go.
Well, our crowd, according to our demographics, is like in our range, Don.
Yeah, I know that. Thank God.
Yes.
NSWF, not safe. FW, NSFW, not safe
for work. Yeah, that's right.
Morel hunters are very much the same way. That is true.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, people are absolutely ravenous about their spots. Now I know with things like ginseng and stuff, I've known ginseng hunters.
They're the same way.
Yes, they are. They're very, very. I know where there's whole patches of ginseng growing. Now the funny thing is I was running through it as a kid and never knew.
No idea.
What those plants were.
Right.
Just whole oceans of them up on the hills back home, and I'm sure they're still there. But I just didn't know what it was. But when I found out what a ginseng plant looked like, I was like, oh man, I used to smash those down as I was running around as a kid.
No wonder it smelled so good.
Yeah, well, it's the roots of the ginseng, of course, that you cultivate. But they're very, very valuable as well, as far as it takes a hell of a lot of ginseng root to make like even an ounce. Like they're so light.
Yeah.
Once they dry out.
Well, saffron.
Saffron, same thing.
Saffron, yeah. It's like one of the most expensive spices out there.
Yes.
But what people don't know, and I'm not going to share, but there's only 3 pieces per wherever you get it from. I know exactly where you get it from, but I'm not going to tell anybody.
So Don's demonstrating our point exactly.
Exactly. The problem with that point is I can grow them without even thinking about them.
Right. Well, they do grow like a weed up in here.
You can farm them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Easily.
Now
you can farm them in tubs, like storage tubs. You could farm them in that.
Hey, Vader.
They grow. Yeah. Hey, Vader.
Hey,
Vader. How you doing? Ain't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
No, you can farm those. You can literally farm them, and then put them away for a year, and then pull them out at the right time of the year, and then farm them again. Put them
really?
Away. Yeah, it's like one of those things. You pull out, it goes dormant. Then you pull it out at the right time of year. Water it, harvest it, and then put them back in the basement.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah,
You'd have to have a hell of a lot of them to get any worthwhile, though, right?
Yeah, because they only produce 3 strands per plant.
Lewis says he's my father. Well,
That's not what he says.
let's talk about some child support then, Lewis.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's time to pay the bills, brother.
So anyhow, how did we get on saffron?
Because we were talking about
berries.
berries, the squatch following the berries.
But we were actually talking about squatches, not berries.
Right, but it was during huckleberry season that
but
people
that
saw 'em.
totally makes sense to me. That absolutely 100% makes sense to me.
Right, I do think that they may be more migrant than people think. I'm not sure, but you got to look at that body mass. That body mass has to require a hell of a lot of calories.
Yeah, they have to be constantly foraging. I would imagine. Let me say that. I would imagine they have to be constantly foraging.
Right.
If they're
unless they're cannibalistic.
Unless they're cannibalistic. That's just pretty much where I was going. They're obviously omnivores. No kidding.
Right.
Oh, another thing I said was even chickens and rabbits are cannibals.
That's so disturbing. A rabbit.
I know, huh? But,
rabbits chewing on some meat.
Oh, I've been bit by rabbits.
Yeah, me too. But I just thought they were pissed. I didn't think they were trying to eat me.
Yeah, they were pissed, all right. Especially after they call them friars for a reason.
Friar duck.
Friar rabbits.
Friar rabbits.
Yeah.
There you go. You learn something new every day. So that's an account out of Alabama. I do think that they move around a lot. I don't know how much though, but like I was saying, there's a place that I had an encounter that was very near to my home back in Minnesota, and I had no idea again what it was for years and years. But I played up in those woods all the time and never thought of anything. Never had any fear or apprehension at all. But I will say this, and this is kind of interesting. When I had the encounter, that's the close encounter that I believe was a Sasquatch. Again, I didn't see it,
right?
But it growled and it resonated my whole body. So whatever it was big, really, really freaking big, and it vibrated my body. I just can't, unless you felt that, you can't understand what that feels like to have something growling and your whole body is just resonating with that tremor. It's so big and powerful. It's such a emasculating experience because, you feel just completely helpless. Whatever's making that sound, I knew I didn't want to see. I did not want to see it. I did not want to see it. I just knew there was nothing on this earth that was going to make me turn around and see it was going to kill me in a second. It's like, I just bring the blackness because whatever's doing that is way too big and there's not a thing I can do. Just
sounds like
lights
he's
out.
Fanboying.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
it's like if you've got something big and terrifying behind you, okay, I already know. If I see it, I still can die from it. so I'm like,
I'd
know
rather
what?
not see it.
I'm going to look this way where you're not, and if you're going to kill me, then I guess that's what's going to happen. But I'm not going to die in terror from seeing that face. And if I had, I would still be seeing that face. I mean, it was just so absolutely terrifying.
The Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Thank you, MCAT.
Bring the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
Thy count shall be 3. Not 2, no 4, but 3.
Yeah. So,
1, 2, 4. 3, Lord. 3.
That was one encounter. And all the other times up there, over years and years and years, never another thing. Why on that time did it choose to do that? I don't know. But then again, years after that, being up in those woods, never experiencing a thing. But as an adult living down there, in that area, I can tell you that something changed, and I don't know how to explain it. It was totally, completely an emotional change or a intuitive change for me. But suddenly, the nights not made me scared, but made me really freaking cautious. I would go out at night as a kid and play in those woods, run through the woods to go over to my friend's house and do all that stuff, never thinking a thing of it. Even after that growling, even though that took the wind out of my sails for quite a long time, I still went back in those woods and dorked around. But moving back down there, and it wasn't right away, but it was after a while of living down in that area. Suddenly I went outside and I didn't feel comfortable anymore. And I don't know what changed. I don't know unless that's some kind of genetic response to them being close.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I don't understand it. I can't tell you, but I can just tell you that the woods felt different in the more recent years.
Well, let me throw a rock at you here, because Gemini Moon says that to me feels like a dog man.
Well, maybe, maybe that's it. You might be right.
Yeah.
And that could have been but I will tell you that I did go up into those woods after finding out about Sasquatch and Bigfoot, finding out what people attribute to them as far as breaks, as far as little structures and stuff like that. And I did find those structures up in the deeper part of the hills. So I did see that there are some things going on there that seem to mimic that. Now, I don't know, and I still don't know, and I don't know if anybody knows, but do the dogmen have those same kind of characteristics? Do they do territorial breaks as well? Yeah. Is that part of how they mark their territory?
I thought we had asked this question of one of our guests that we talked about this, but I guess not, because I don't remember an answer.
Right, I don't think we got an answer if we did,
and I don't think we got an answer about how they live. I'm pretty sure they like coyotes and wolves. They den up, which means usually subterranean in a burrow kind of, or in some kind of fall. Because we had a pack of 40 coyotes. You smoke a pack of coyotes a day, that'd be great. But anyhow, that lived in a woodfall. All the branches of the trees, they got old, they fell down, and they lived in there in like a den. So, either subterranean in a burrow or a den, or a naturally made, a den of some type, lean-to, whatever, however that happens. So, right. Or do they actually build a den, or do they build a lean-to? Do they, whatever that may be,
Well, now
then marking territory as well.
The interesting thing is I found some really cool things up on Trestle Creek, up there.
Oh, that's right.
When I was mushroom hunting, and it was like these small little blinds. They weren't huge, like a lot of the teepees and stuff that people find, but there would be like a deadfall of tree, and then there'd be a bunch of broken sticks lined up on one side of that like a lean-to.
Right.
There was no brush over it like you'd imagine somebody doing a rudimentary shelter. There was no brush over the top of those.
Like a lean-to.
Right, like a true lean-to,
right.
But it was like a blind of some sort is all I can think.
Huh.
Now, it wasn't enormous. It was, I could have hidden comfortably behind it, but I'm not huge. I'm 5'10".
Right.
So, maybe that is a dogman thing. I don't know. I don't know what is attributed to them. And Orange County Girl, if you know, are they known for breaks and stuff like that? Please let us know, because I haven't heard any straight answer on that. So that is curious, though. Very curious.
Curiouser and curiouser.
Curiouser and curiouser.
She Orange County Girl doesn't like. She says red-eyed rabbits are evil. She says she has a scar on her pinky toe from a red-eyed.
Oh, really?
And that's what brought up the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Thank you very much,
Mr. MCAT.
Of course.
Ooh, this one sounds interesting.
The rabbit, he's a killer.
Okay. This one says Alaska pilot watches as a Sasquatch carries off his bride.
Ooh.
This one I think we've read a long time ago. Maybe not, though.
Was it the Alaska pilot's bride, or was it Bigfoot's bride?
It says his bride.
Okay.
I don't know. Noted author on bear behavior, Alaskan Larry Kaniut, Kaniut, writes that he heard an interesting story. It's unconfirmed at this time, but allegedly was written up in Alaska Magazine at some point. Kaniut, I don't know, I'm doing my best, is investigating, but in the meantime, he writes, my friend Jack Gwaltney and I traveled up to Wasilla, Alaska, to meet with Ken Taylor Jr., and Jack shared his story. He remembered the story source when we reached the Best Western, where we were to eat lunch, and Jack said that he was pretty sure that Alaska Magazine carried the story around 1985. I've made a little effort to confirm the story at Anchorage's Lusac Library, but as of yet I've had no success. In spring 2002, I stopped to see Andy Hall at Alaska Magazine regarding permission to use the story, if located. Talked to Jill Shepard, who was going to look in 1985 mags for the story. He said, I'll email Andy to see if they discovered anything yet. The story goes like this. Supposedly a Nome, Alaska, or Bethel pilot and his newlywed wife were en route to Anchorage, where they would make connections for their honeymoon. The weather turned sour, so he touched down in a Cessna 180 or 185 on floats and taxied to shore, where he and his wife looked for a spot to pitch their tent for the night. Having found one, he turned toward the plane to fetch the tent with his wife following him. He heard his wife scream and turned to see a hairy biped running from the location towards the woods with his wife under one arm. Wow. The pilot chased after the critter before realizing that he could best stop it with a firearm. He returned to the plane to fetch his rifle. He followed, seeing them 3 times before he lost sight of them. He found a particle of cloth from his wife's garment. He either spent the night in his tent and looked the next day, or flew to Anchorage and reported the event to the Alaska State Troopers, who began the search, but were unable to come up with any positive results. The wife was never found, and Jack told me that the pilot was distraught and a basket case for years.
Wow.
Well, I imagine, my God, what a horrible, horrible, horrible story. I don't know, maybe it's lonely up in Alaska, but come on.
When you find one, you got to keep them.
Right.
Apparently, you got to fight for them, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of men being called knuckle draggers, but that's a whole different game.
Being dragged off by a knuckle dragger.
You men are just like Squatch. Oh, my God. That's terrible. I hope that's not true. What a heartbreaker would that be, dude?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. What did somebody... How do you explain to the police that story that a Bigfoot took your wife without looking like a murderer to cover his tracks?
Exactly,
Good
Will.
Question,
that's a great,
William,
and that's a wonderful question, because as I was reading it, I was like, I wonder how much time he spent in jail, because as soon as they didn't find anything,
you become suspect number one.
Well, yeah, you just made those Alaskan cops' job pretty easy, because I don't know, that's crazy. That would be horrible. I feel bad for the guy, though. Yeah, that's terrible.
No doubt.
Let me see. I didn't mean to close that. No, I guess it doesn't matter. All right, so that was that story. I think that's interesting, but horrible. It's a horribly sad one. Anyone got a state they're asking about? They're wondering about Sasquatch stories in a state. Name a state in the chat, if you would.
Name a state. Name a state for, like, oh, you know what? How about Ohio for D?
Ohio.
Let's do it. Ohio for D.
Well, everything's going on in Ohio.
Morgan County, Portage County,
Harrison County, the Legend of Orange Eyes, Chief Little Soldier story, 2009. Let's just pick Portage.
Okay.
Portage County in Ohio.
And then we'll go Michigan, North Carolina.
Michigan, North Carolina. Coming up next, Utah. Okay, very good. Let's go with Portage, Ohio. Portage County, Ohio. I'm a retired engineer, and I and my wife live in a clustered home community near the western edge of Portage County, Ohio. The community is surrounded by small sections of woods, marshes, and ponds, and our kitchen faces west towards a wooded area. From our kitchen window, my wife and I have watched deer, squirrel, coyote, and all manner of birds come out of the woods onto the grass area between our house and the edge of the woods. During the winter, we enjoy watching the tracks made by woodland creatures, and there isn't a backyard divider between cluster homes, and our home is on a slight hill, so we can see hundreds of feet in many backyards. After the heaviest snow of the winter, approximately early February of 2009, I noticed a bipedal track running out of the woods and up to my adjoining neighbor's home. The track then made a beeline back towards an opening in the woods and disappeared in the brush. Initially, I thought it must be a neighbor walking behind the homes on what is referred to as the common area, but after a day or so of looking at the tracks, it dawned on me that the stride of the track was extremely long and regular. This is a little strange because the tracks went up and down a drainage swale without changing length, and it came to me that it might be a Bigfoot track. Mm-hmm. I pointed this out to my wife, and she somewhat believed it at this point, and 2 days later, my son visited with his kids, and I pointed the tracks out to him, and my son and I have a kidding relationship, and he thought it was just my imagination at work, and We discussed deer tracks, dog tracks, rabbit tracks, bear tracks, moose tracks, etc.
Moose tracks.
All the things that it couldn't be because it was bipedal, long, and straight. The next thing I know, he throws on his boots and coat and charges out in the yard trying to lay down a parallel track by jumping alongside of the track to prove his old man wrong. The short of it was that it proved just the opposite. He could not jump far enough in the snow to match the unknown track stride length by 1.5 feet. My son's size 11 boots print were half as wide and 4 to 5 inches shorter as well.
Wow.
I pointed out to him that all up and down cluster homes was a similar track, showing that something came out of the woods and walked up to the back window of the homes in straight lines. The tracks avoided the driveways and walked up to the back window, and then turned and walked back into the wooded area. The tracks didn't retrace themselves, but efficiently quartered the area behind the homes.
Wow.
The path seemed to be very determined with no signs of wandering that is usually seen with animal tracks. A day later, I waded into the snow to get a closer look at the tracks and noticed some other details. The unknown tracks punched nearly vertically down into the snow. My son's tracks, on the other hand, showed a slope on both the forward and rearward edges as he attempted to match the stride. I looked for toe prints and found them. They were huge. No surprise there. What did surprise me was that a print that I thought was going to be the left foot turned out to be the right foot. I looked back along the line of tracks, trying to figure out why I made a mistake, and concluded that there was little or no stride or no side stagger to the prints, as a human would make. And I just made a wrong assumption. The toes were long and splayed out. The little toe was almost as long as the big toe, and the tracks had 5 toes and were almost square across the ends of the toes. I thought of taking photographs, but I didn't have a working camera, and besides, taking a picture on the tracks in the snow reminded me of the futility of taking a picture of a polar bear in a snowstorm. As odd as I know, many people may have seen as far as I know, many people may have seen the tracks, but only I and my wife and my son recognized the oddity of them. A week later, while I was putting out the garbage at midnight, I heard a far-off wail that sounded like a Bigfoot sound recordings played on the internet. I didn't recognize it immediately because we have rail sidings and truck depots and small manufacturing plants within 1,200 feet. They make unusual sounds at odd hours, and I wasn't paying much attention to the sounds at the time. 3 months later, while driving on a road that runs through the marsh a half-mile from my home, I saw a coal-black object in the marsh. It stood out because everything else was brown, gray, or green coloring of the marsh at that time of the year, and it was less than 100 feet away. And I looked back a second later, and it hadn't moved. It was so black that I could not make out any details, despite the fact it was midday with plenty of light, and I can't say what it was that I saw, but it wasn't there the next day or any other day after. There is an active rail track and small stream near to where I saw the object, and what I saw was an impenetrable black object sticking 2 feet or so above the marsh plants. It was shaped somewhat like a bush, but it didn't look like a bear or anything else I could think of. If it was a Bigfoot, it must have been seated looking the other way with its head ducked down. I don't know what it was, but it's not there now. I did buy a new camera so that if anything else comes up, I have a chance of taking a photo. So, very cool.
Wow.
That was Ohio.
Hey, Duke just popped in.
Yeah.
Duke, give us a call. I have a question for you. 720-923-0500. I got a question for you that's about something we talked about at the top of the show. And you're like a prime suspect to answer the question. A person who
resident expert.
Okay, a local expert. Sure, yeah, I have a resident expert. Yes, so you're actually a resident here on the portal now.
Oh, he's part of the family.
720-923-0500. Please call. There he is, right there.
Oh, wow.
Get him.
That man can call.
I know, he's ready, huh?
Welcome to the show, Mr. Duke.
Howdy, Rowdy.
There you are.
Good to hear from you, brother. Thanks for calling in. We got We need some clarification,
Yes.
if you don't mind, and it has to do with a discussion Don had on a Bigfoot group or a cryptid group.
Yeah.
And apparently people are making up their own definitions. So
she just replied.
okay, well, ask Duke the.
Yeah. Okay. So Duke, the question that was asked in one of these groups that I'm on Facebook is Sasquatch a cannibal? And now let me preface this real quick. It's the question is Sasquatch a cannibal? We know that Sasquatch is an omnivore, but so are bears, and bears eat bears. The person says I would think a Sasquatch is not because of their superior intellect. Duke, do Sasquatch eat Sasquatch?
Well, that's going to be a long, involved answer. It depends on which kind you're talking about.
Okay, now
when they say cannibal, the main reason they use that phrase is because they consider Bigfoot to be like a type of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So if they ate people, that would make them a cannibal. On the other hand, maybe they eat other Bigfoot, which would also make them a cannibal.
Mm-hmm.
Type 3s and 4s, I can just about guarantee if there's dead around or something, they're not going to bury them. They're going to eat them.
Okay.
That's hundreds of pounds extra meat, and they're carnivores.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Type 1s and 2s do occasionally make off with people, and it's possible that they eat them. And, the Indian tribes all pretty much say that they do. There's occasionally bad ones out there that will eat people. So that's where the cannibal thing comes from.
Okay, so now answer this question, because this person that somebody else chimed in and said, Sasquatch are not cannibals, but Bigfoot are.
Maybe.
Bigfoot and Sasquatch are the same thing. Bigfoot's the name for him in the lower 48, and Sasquatch is the name for him in Canada. The Sasquatch is not a direct name. It was created by Burns out of J.W. Burns came up with it. The local name was Sasquatch, and he mistranslated it to Sasquatch.
Excellent. Excellent. See, that's what we were saying too. But Don, you can tell him this person's response to that.
Sorry, what? I'm responding back to this person.
Don't worry about that. You can respond later, but
yeah. So I mean, and kind of my point was that even chickens and rabbits are technically omnivores. People think they're herbivores, but they're not. They're omnivores. A chicken will eat a dead chicken. A rabbit will eat a dead rabbit.
Tell them what that lady said about Bigfoot and Sasquatch. So that's what I find so interesting.
Well, yeah. So the gal that I was talking with or engaged with in this conversation, she says that her and her research partner have determined that Bigfoot and Sasquatch are two separate entities, and that Sasquatch are more intelligent. Therefore they do not eat people, whether it be human or Sasquatch, and that Bigfoot would. Now, my response to that was, a Bigfoot is a booger, is a Sasquatch. It doesn't matter what you call them.
Yeah.
It's
an Oma, it's a Seattle, it's a skunk ape,
right.
It's an Ohio grassman. It's got a different name.
Right.
It's the same critter.
And
there's various sub-varieties.
Right.
And like calling a type 1 a Sasquatch and type 2 a Bigfoot, that's still not accurate.
I don't
know what the hell she's talking about.
Yeah, that sounds exactly what she's saying. And that's what I said. I said it doesn't matter what you call them. It's a matter of what type are they? What various type are they? Are they a type 1, a type 2, a type 3? Because if you really want to get technical, then in what she's saying or what's being said by her and her research partner is that a face eater and a Gugwe is the same thing as a Bigfoot. But we know that's not necessarily common belief.
No, that's absolutely not the case. And we've got distinct reports of these things in certain areas where there's been clusters of reports of them for years. And all the reports say, no, it's not it's got a snout on it. So clearly it's not a Bigfoot. So this is, again, somebody that hasn't done their due diligence and done enough research to know that there are, in fact, more than one kind of these things running around. Yeah, type 3s are fairly rare, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go to places like Bowie Lake, Michigan, where they had a flap in 1963, and they've been getting consistently reports since then. Was it 2009? Mr. Hansen got an audio recording of one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, got another researcher up in Alberta that said that he found an area where there's been reports coming out for 70 years. And they all are gudwees. None of them look like Bigfoot.
Right. Hey, and part of what brought this up was I read a story, oddly enough, the other night when we had Kevin on, Kevin Lang. I was looking up stories of hunters that have been saved by Bigfoot, or just Googling around basically, and I came across, and this is what put it forefront in my mind, is I came across the night before I started talking about this, a report of a hunter shooting a Bigfoot. And then before he could get down there, there was a river or something like that and had sandbar. The Bigfoot was gut shot on that sandbar. And before the hunter could get over there, another tribe of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them, came and ripped him apart and ate him.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bigfoot outlaws will tell you that that's not like surprising behavior or anything, because they've been in areas where there's more than one troop. The troops don't get along with each other.
Right.
They definitely stay in their own areas, and could be hostile to each other. And one of them gets wounded. Woohoo! There's a good chance to get rid of them. Yeah, I know what report you're talking about. I heard it too, and apparently they were like ripping it apart and eating it.
Right,
basically.
It specifically said
so
like the shoulder.
That's
and
only
head.
one report, though. I mean, keep in mind.
That's true.
I'm not disparaging anything, but you don't know for sure that one report is accurate. And we haven't had multiple reports of people seeing Sasquatch tearing a Sasquatch apart and eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I've only had one report myself that I've got of Sasquatch following someone through the woods and then being attacked by a Type 4 and ripped apart, but the witness didn't stay around to see if they ate it or not.
I can't say I blame them.
I remember you sharing that on the show, and it was just like, oh, I still get a swell of pity in my stomach when I think of that. It's like, oh, God. But I guess it was
I wouldn't
quick.
want to see that.
It was quick, it sounds like, though.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, really, really brutal. The description was tore apart like a piece of paper, like a human tearing a piece of paper apart.
Wow.
So,
oh, my God.
Make what you will of that description. That was it.
That's like a human taking a phone book and tearing it in half. I mean, it's like one of those things that shouldn't be possible. But when you actually see it happen, it's incredibly surreal. Craziness. Well,
yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, apparently this thing had it so out-muscled and outgunned that it was just like not even there was no fight involved. It just ripped it apart, literally.
Wow. Jeez. That's creepy.
Wow. Well, thank you for jumping in and calling us, and so we can talk about that, because Brent and I pretty much agree that a Bigfoot is a Sasquatch is a booger. It's just a matter of what the type or various type it is, the 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
So and
you can't stereotype it. I mean, okay, in the South they call Bigfoot wood booger.
Right.
Does that necessarily mean that it could be a Type 1 or a Type 2? They have both of them in the South.
Right.
They're not differentiating. If they see a Bigfoot, it's a wood booger. They don't know which one it is.
Right. Yeah, good point. And my point is that I appreciate that people are out there trying to do research and trying to understand this, but you can't redefine the given terminology just to fit that you have a different opinion.
Right.
Yeah, all it's going to do is confuse people. I mean, that's whole part of the problem with the classification system right now is because it's not standardized.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like I tend to use pretty much. My classification system is pretty similar to what Bigfoot Outlaws use and pretty similar to what Wes uses. But, it's like none of us know for sure.
Right.
We're all just guessing based on the information that we're getting, the descriptions of what's going on and the behavior attached to it.
Right. Well, and that was something else another commenter mentioned is we're all working on supposition and, working off of theories and what we believe is going on, with some certain exceptions. We have had guests on the show that say that they have cohabitated with them and had physical contact. So, there are very few reports of that, but barring those specific instances, we are working on supposition, hearsay, observation, hypothesis. So you really, exactly. You really can't pin it down.
No, and a lot of it is observation, and my hat's off to people like Well, Sasquatch Chronicles, Wes Germer, probably the top archivist on Earth, man. He's got everybody coming over telling them their stories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a resource for researchers because you can go back and look at all those stories and go,
Right.
okay, this one describes it this way, it does this.
Yeah.
And you start compiling all this information. It gives you a lot clearer picture on what's going on if you're willing to take the time to go through it and take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and exactly. And I'm noticing the same thing in many different phenomena, like ghost phenomena. I'm getting a lot of people telling me their experiences. I'm finding a lot of testimonials online, and it's like the more that people tell, the more you understand, because it all kind of connects dots when you put it all in a big picture.
Exactly, and that speaks to the fact that this is actually valid and real and going on, because if it was all imaginary, you'd have stories that were all over the place and none of them would connect.
Right.
But you start getting hundreds of people with reports of this critter, and it's all disturbingly the same description and behavior. They're not all just making this stuff up. This wasn't just some chemtrail program in the 60s to spray pixie dust on the population so they'd all show up 40 years later and have Bigfoot hallucinations. That's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess we're all learning slowly and surely, but, I appreciate you being a regular part of what we're doing and helping us out because, neither Don and I are researchers. And I know that you are, and you're so dialed into all of this. So you will always be our verifying authority.
There you go.
For sure.
Well, let me first of all say that there are no experts. There's no experts, there's no experts, there's no experts.
Right.
Maybe there's a guy in a lab coat that works for the government, but he ain't talking to us.
Yeah.
So, again, it's all like best guess based on available information. That's all we got to go on.
Right.
So, whatever I can help you guys with on that, I'm more than willing to do it.
Yeah, and you most certainly did. We certainly appreciate that.
And Bob in Germany says hi from the chat room.
Hey, Bob. Hurry up and get recorded so you can be on my show, you slacker.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for calling in and helping to clarify that because we needed the authority involved on this one.
Gotta call the authorities.
Thank you.
All right, well, let me go so I can go watch this cool Paranormal Portal show that's on right now. I'm missing it.
Sweet deal. Thanks, bud.
All right, take care, brother.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Excuse me while I...
Don, you want to pick up your lung?
Yeah. I think I could do it with a stick and a spoon.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Duke, for giving a call. I certainly do appreciate that.
I'm really impressed at the speed that man dialed in.
He's like...
I
wonder if he speed dials everything. He's
I know
just
he's got like a dresser full of free concert tickets and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the third caller.
Hey man, you want tickets to this concert? I won like 13 in a row.
Yeah, exactly. That would be Duke. He's like Mr. Speed Dial. That was amazing.
Oh my goodness.
It's like you no sooner got it out of your mouth than the call board lit up. It's like, oh.
I know. I said, oh, there he is. Get him.
There he is.
Yep. So that's awesome. So that kind of lays that to rest for me.
Good.
That's pretty much where I'm going to transgender. No, come on.
All right. So what was the other states that would?
Michigan was the next
Michigan.
one. And then North Carolina.
Michigan. Let's see what's going on in Michigan.
Oh, and by the way, you read that story from Portage, Ohio.
Yeah.
That's where D actually is.
Oh, wow, D. Well, there you go. I hope that makes you feel comfortable in your home turf.
Yes.
Now, D is looking at relocating.
I would be too.
Yeah, no, I mean, Ohio is just off the cuff with some strangeness. Here's Michigan, and there happens to be only one in here, which is weird.
Okay.
But let's read that one. That'll make choosing it so much easier. All right, here's what's going on in Michigan. And this is from 2007, so it's not really current. Wow, it's a letter. It says, no Bigfoot in the UP Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Editor says, I'm a native of Wells and graduated from Escanaba Area High School in 1971, and I went on to get a forestry degree in Michigan Technological University in 1976 and worked for the U.S. Forest Service Mead Corps. What's a Mead Corps? I don't even know. MEAD. Do they drink a lot? And Champion International. Plus, I was the county forester for Alger County in 1987. Regarding the story about finding Bigfoot in the Upper Peninsula, I have timber cruised everywhere in the Upper Peninsula and know it like the back of my hand. Oh, this guy is arrogant as hell. I did this for 10 years, and not once did I ever see, hear, or find any tracks of Bigfoot. Well, you know, because you don't find them, then they don't exist for anybody. So this guy's coming. This is the argument from authority. So it's supposed to validate his disbelief, I guess, because he has all this.
Oh, Mead Corporation, Mead.
The paper.
Paper company.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. All right. Let's see. Since I was in swamps many times that people have not visited in more than 100 years, if there was a Bigfoot that would be there, that would be where they would be. I was in many muddy areas and swamps and in lowlands, and not once did I see a track of Bigfoot. I always cruised timber around the Marquette area in rainy and sunny weather and found no sign of Bigfoot tracks there either, or signs, and I also cruised timber in highland areas everywhere in the Upper Peninsula, and no sign of Bigfoot there either. And I've only heard one person in 10 years tell me they saw something that walked up right across a road at night, and other than that, in my 10 years of being in the woods, everywhere in the UP, I saw no sign of Bigfoot at all, not even in the Porcupine Mountains. I feel Matthew Moneymaker's search for Bigfoot in the UP is a folly. The real people to ask about Bigfoot are the lumberjacks and the foresters, as they're in the woods a lot, because you know you can sit and observe a lot when you're running a chainsaw, right? I mean, you are just a stealth agent of the forest at that point. It's like, yeah, they're not there to do anything but cut woods. So, and know the difference between a bear and a Bigfoot or any other animal. If there were Bigfoot in the UP, I would have found a track or some sort of evidence during that time, as I have walked many, many miles of muddy and dry logging roads of all sorts, new and old ones, or would have heard from other foresters of a Bigfoot sighting or track.
Wow.
What an arrogant bastard.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Wow.
So
here's what
Brian, I knew he was going to chime in and say something like
what
that.
Did he say?
Duke says Money Grubber is a Hollywood lawyer.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Matt Moneymaker is an attorney.
I agree. This guy's a pompous ass,
Well, here's the thing. I mean, how many times have you heard the story that starts with, I hunted all my life. I was out in the woods. I hunted the same woods for 30 years. Yep. I knew every inch of that place. And then one day, and fill in the blank. Right. I mean, every Bigfoot story that happens in the forest starts like that. These people they know the forest, and they got it back and forth, and they just have it all dialed in, and nothing could ever exist there that they didn't observe. And it's like, no. I mean, I was a kid, and I had been up in these woods every spare moment of my life from the time I was 9 until I was 17. Right. I was always up in these hills.
Had no clue, huh?
I would sit up there and sit on rocks and just sit and listen and go explore and stuff. And then something growled right behind me that shook me right to the core. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could have told you everything that was in that woods and been sure of it. But until it happens, you can't know. You just can't know. And I love the fact that people think that I hunt so I know the woods. It's like, no, you don't. You know how to walk through woods. You know how to look for a specific type of animal. Right. And you may know how to shoot them. Right. But that, okay, here's the thing. You watch a show like, let's say, okay, for instance, now our ancestors lived off the land. I mean, they literally lived off the land. Right. They thrived, they survived, they built everything out of nothing and created these vast, areas of civilization out of nothing. But they lived and thrived in it. Now, modern day, we have survival experts. And I just want, and I'm not disparaging anyone here, so please don't think that I'm speaking down to anybody. But you watch Survivor Man, and Les Stroud is like the survivor. This guy gets out there and does the real deal. I mean, he is the real survivor expert. So he's out there for a period of several days, and he comes back, I lost 30 pounds, and it's like, you weren't surviving. You were just surviving, just barely. You were taking in enough that you could get back to what's comfortable. But you couldn't dump Les Stroud out in the woods for a year and say, here's a jackknife and some seat insulation. Now, we'll be back in a year to pick you up. You'd be picking up a skeleton. Right. So more. I can't say that for sure, but every episode he lost weight, and it was just a miserable experience for him because he's still a guy. He's a modern man,
Right.
and we just don't know how to live in the woods. We are awkward. We are loud. We are weak. We are slow. We are not equipped to
Right.
live in the forests and to really be comfortable and familiar with them.
Right. Well, and then this guy here, he goes on to say, ask a lumberjack. Well, lumberjacks are out there scaring all the local wildlife away.
Yeah.
What the hell are they going to see?
They probably don't see even deer most of the time because they're running these big chainsaws and trucks with logs on them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're not really they're not really National Geographic out there.
Exactly, they're not exactly stealthy.
Right. They are making a lot of noise, a lot of racket, and anything avoids them. Everything in the forest goes, oh God, the loggers are here. Let's get the hell out. And if you take something with, how many people see mountain lions? And while there are people that see them,
Right.
they're very rarely seen.
And it's not usually when you're making a whole bunch of freaking noise either.
Right.
Yeah,
if you're making a lot of racket, you won't even see that. But to make this assumption like, well, I worked here and I did this. Well, I worked at Famous Footwear, but I still would not be qualified to judge people's shoes.
Yeah.
I built kitchen cabinets, and I still wouldn't be
Right.
qualified to build you a kitchen.
Yes,
I installed Corian countertops and garage doors,
Right.
but I still wouldn't say I'm an expert on any of those things.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's part of goes back to kind of the top of the show when we talked about the difference between what somebody says is the difference between a Sasquatch and a Bigfoot.
right.
The quality, the whatever's. Yeah. Anyhow, soapbox. Bong, bong, bong.
Well, this is the thing. It's like you get that arrogance and that oh, well, I used to work. I used to work for the Forest Service, and I can tell you there's no Bigfoot. It's like, really? So because you had a badge on your door and
Yeah.
you drove around a bunch of forest areas, does not uniquely qualify you to make any kind of determinations. The amount of people that have come forward, these are not. These are people of all walks of life,
Right.
professionals, military. There's police officers. There's judges. There's lawyers.
Right.
There are doctors. There are biologists that have seen them, and these people can't all be wrong.
And they're all different kinds of all
Right.
kinds of people, all kinds of experience levels, people who've never experienced the outside before. It's like put down your phone and become part of something. And so you've got all these peoples from all these walks of life that are telling the same story.
Right.
But then you got people like this who says there is no story.
Yeah.
There's no
well,
story here.
But again, okay, so the other side of this, okay, let's look at this on the other side down. So there are many people that believe, very, very convinced, and I happen to be one of them,
I know.
that there is a cover-up. There is a cover-up of this information.
Sure.
So is this kind of a submission?
Oh, do you think this is disinformation?
Disinformation. This could very
no
well
way.
be. This could very well be
No
an
way.
actual submission of disinformation.
Because he's with the government.
Right,
You're
U.S.
right.
Forest
That's
Service.
right.
Service. Bleh.
Interesting.
Right?
I didn't even pick that up. But
Well, I'm just saying it's something to consider. And is that for sure what's going on? No.
No.
He's either an
no.
arrogant prick, or he's just trying to take people off of the hunt.
Yeah. Well,
you know.
and that may be true. That may be true. But then again, where are they going to go from the Upper Peninsula? I mean, they're stuck on the peninsula if you cut them off, or
There's a whole nother side of that.
yeah. Well, but you can. Is the peninsula cut off? Can you just, like a real peninsula, you just, block that one spot and
They could
have to
walk
swim
across
away?
the bridge and get to Mackinac Island.
Okay, we'll see. Mackinac Island.
No, they could go the other way and end up in northern Minnesota or northern.
Mackinac Island. Isn't there a prison on? Never mind.
I don't know. This isn't the prison portal, Don.
Don would know that because Don's a law enforcement junkie.
That's true.
So, but yeah, okay.
So this
yeah,
could be
it
disinformation.
It could be disinformation.
That's I like that. I like that angle better because otherwise I just don't like this guy. He's just a dick.
Well, we don't like this guy anyhow because he's disinformation. He's being a dick.
At least then he's doing his job,
supposition.
and I can respect
Right,
that
exactly.
a little
Yeah,
bit
he
more.
probably got paid a lot for that.
Okay, what was the next state?
North Carolina, which is where Miss Deb is, and who was
there is one here.
yes.
Oh, they call it Knobby.
Oh,
Knobby. It's Tales of the Weird. Folks were looking for Knobby, Knobby, back in 1979.
wow.
North Carolina, March 31st, 2010. More than 30 years ago, folks in rural Cleveland County were talking about a strange creature that had been spotted lurking around the foothills there. It would become the most famous Bigfoot phenomenon in North Carolina's history. Back then, people called the creature Knobby because it had been seen around Carpenter's Knob, just north of Kings Mountain. During the winter months of 1978 and 79, folks in Cleveland County and surrounding counties were buzzing about reports of Knobby. A Charlotte TV station devoted a special program to the weird phenomena, as I recall. The sighting started around late December 1978 when 88-year-old Minnie Cook became the first to go public with her sighting. She had seen the black hairy creature near her house. According to one account, from the time the sighting of Knobby terrified the elderly woman so much that she would not go outside her home without her trusty rifle in hand. According to a website, people just aren't just saying they saw it, said her daughter-in-law, Ruby. Do you like that impression? I kind of did. Did you notice that, Don? I went full character right there.
You're awesome.
Sorry. And as she sat inside the store, she operated with her husband. They have seen it. The store run by the Cooks was located in the shadow of Carpenter's Knob. Excuse me. Excuse me. That store in nearby Mountain View Grocery became local gathering place where folks could exchange their knobby stories. And if you wanted to go looking for the elusive creature, those were some pretty good places to hear some first-hand accounts and get an idea of where to search. Those who had seen Knobby described it as it sounds small, described it as a 200-pound, 6-foot-tall, dark, hairy animal with a small head and flat face. One person who claimed to have seen it said it walked on 4 legs. Another eyewitness said it walked upright, like a man, which would be typical Squatch behavior because they can do both.
Mini Squatch.
Yeah, he might have just been a juvenile.
Yeah.
Back then, you might also have heard stories about sounds that Knobby made. People who heard its lonesome cry describe it as a wailing in the night like a woman in pain, according to a website. Some wildlife experts declared that what they were hearing and seeing was actually a bear. Of course it was. But others believed it was some kind of unknown creature that could have been both man and ape. In 1979, Jim Hollingsworth talked to people who claimed to have heard the strange cries in the night. He was convinced that what they had heard was not a bear or a panther. Their descriptions surprised me, he said to a newspaper. See that? I went full character again. Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, I just got to entertain myself sometimes, Don.
Brent's inner weird neck.
They describe it as a sound that varies in pitch from a low growl to a high scream. As being like a bull bellowing, but with its own sound. They also say that after it screams for a few seconds, it has a yodeling type of sound. Wow. I wonder if that's kind of the siren sound that people report, like the... So, anyway. For 6 years, Hollingsworth had been looking into the Bigfoot phenomena as an investigator for North American Research Association in Eugene, Oregon. He had spent most of his free time searching in the green swamp of south of Wilmington before going after Knobby. He said the descriptions of the creature's mournful cry matched the descriptions of the Sasquatch sounds from the western states.
Oh, wow. How weird.
What?
The Sasquatch and the Bigfoot, Knobby. Yeah, okay. Funny how that comes around, huh?
Do you need a moment?
No, go ahead, please. Okay. No, please.
Meanwhile, D.H. Canipe, C-A-N-I-P-E, whose wife reported seeing the mysterious creature, believed Knobby was really a mountain panther. Ooh. Wow, that's different. From late 1978 through January 1979, at least 16 Knobby sightings were reported in the area around Carpenter's Knob. Forrest Price of Casar, or C-A-S-A-R, I assume, Kasser, said he found his goat dead of a broken neck and suspected that Nobby might have been the killer. Yeah. An animal den and tracks were later found about 2 miles from the homes of Forrest Price and his nearby brother. Searchers at the time said the tracks were as large as a man's hand and had thumb-like protrusions, according to the website. Well, that's different. So does it have like a chimpanzee or gorilla kind of foot? I don't know. The radio station in Shelby put together an all-night search for Nobby, and searchers soon arrived by the pickup truck load. Of course, the creature was not found, and broadcasters with the station soon admitted it was just a publicity stunt.
Oh,
really?
Wow.
Oh, really? It wasn't a sincere effort? Oh, okay. For some reason, it did not pay enough attention. I did not pay enough attention to the tales of Nobby at the time, even though I've always been interested in Bigfoot stories, and this one was happening so close to home. Like similar weird phenomenons, this one too died down, and people soon started talking about other things. But if someone has any stories about Nobby, I'd love to hear about it. And he gives a phone number here, but anyway, very cool. I don't know.
Wow.
It sounds more of a primate kind of thing, though, right? If it has the thumb protrusions on the prints,
Right.
I don't know. That could be just the old circus animal myth or stories that go around. Everybody the escaped gorilla. Yeah. But I mean, I've not heard of any one of these cryptids having a palm-like footstep.
Huh.
But it says the tracks were as large as a man's hand and had thumb-like protrusion. So that would almost sound like a chimpanzee.
Wow.
I don't know.
But that would be a big panther. Because that one lady said it was a panther. It's like, that's a big freaking panther. And one that can walk upright and on all fours. That's a scary freaking panther.
That's a circus panther right there, I'm saying.
Yeah, no doubt.
But very cool. What next state was it? Was Utah next?
Give him a ball.
And an umbrella. See what happens.
Let's see. So we did Ohio, we did Michigan, North Carolina, and then,
Utah?
Utah, yeah.
Utah. Let's see what's going on. Is there any Utah?
Oh.
I went too far. There it is.
Utah.
Okay, do you want Salt Lake County or do you want County Tybalt Lake? Utah County, Tybalt Lake. That was 2008. That's probably the newest one.
We'll go with that one.
It's funny. This site has not been touched in years because it says it's like the big bright colors new, and it's 2008. But let's see what happened. All right.
Well, the report was probably in 2008.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The posting of the report.
When does it say this thing was last updated?
Traverse City. Where did we decide we ended up?
Utah County.
Utah County, okay.
Utah County, Utah, 2008. I live in Alpine, Utah, and I've lived there my whole life. It's a small valley surrounded by the Wasatch Mountains. My encounter happened when I was 19 years old, right before I left on a LDS mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There is a canyon no more than 10 minutes from where I live, and it's called American Fork Canyon. I was with two of my great friends who also served as LDS missionaries, and I was about to leave for 2 years. I love the outdoors, so I wanted to spend the last couple of my days camping up in the American Fork Canyon with my friends, and it was a Friday, June 27th, 2008. We found a place to camp a little bit north of Tribble Fork Lake, and it's very peaceful and calm, and it was getting dark, and we just finished up fishing, and my good friend Austin Hansen went to set up the fire while his brother Alex and I went to the river below to clean off the fish. And I remember Austin later that night telling us he saw someone walking in the brush by all our camping gear. He didn't say anything, he just saw a big figure, and he thought it was someone looking for something near our campsite. We came back and started cooking the fresh fish we just caught, and we sat down and started talking about girls, our future, and where we were while we were talking, we heard a faint, eerie whistling noise. We didn't think too much about it, but maybe thinking it was some kind of weird bird in the trees. Maybe we had camped too close to its nest and we were bothering its family. It was a far-off distant sound, and at times it sounded like it was behind a bush, listening to us. The closer it got, there was also a weird smell that accompanied it. It also felt, to all of us, that there were eyes watching us, curious eyes, watching, listening. as if we didn't belong in this area. As we were getting ready for bed, I walked off maybe 10 yards to where we were going to be sleeping to go to the bathroom, and I thought I saw someone maybe 40 yards away. It was walking right behind 2 big pine trees, and it stayed there no longer than 30 seconds later, and then I heard a stick hit a tree 2 times, but the sound was coming off to the northeast from where I was standing. That's when I saw it. Whatever you want to call it. But I know what I saw. I saw a Sasquatch standing upright, walking towards the tree. It was standing at least 7 feet tall, not intimidated by any means.
You think?
It looked at me or in my direction. My heart was pounding as the whistling noise got louder, very loud. I ran back to camp telling my friends what I just saw, and they believed me, telling me they felt the same way, that is as if we were being watched. Austin told us of the event earlier, seeing a huge man walking around our camp, and we got our things together and ran to the car and that late Friday night, and is something that I will never forget as long as I live. Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean the whistling, the stick knocking, the smell. You know, I've always heard that if you really want to piss them off, start peeing on their trees. I mean, really. So I've heard that many times. And Duke, you know, or Wes, either one of you, if you want to weigh in on that. But I've heard that many times, that taking a pee on their area, it really ticks them off.
Well, so with that being said, you know, because I live out away from people because I like to do that, but it also gives me the freedom to be able to not have to walk all the way upstairs to go to the bathroom if I just gotta, you know, go and hang the hog. So I open the door and step out.
You gotta do
now,
what?
Shake the dew off the lily.
Okay.
So
I
anyhow,
don't get paid enough for this.
So anyhow,
I didn't know hugs were so little.
So my question.
Sorry, that was cheap and free.
Oh my goodness! See what I put up with for your folks' entertainment. For your entertainment, I put up with this guy, and I'm actually pointing away from him, but it's actually on the screen. It looks like I'm pointing at him.
All right, continue your thoughts. Sorry.
So anyhow, so outside of my house, if you know, how far is how far would they consider my territory?
I don't know.
I mean, because I go outside and I.
Okay. Yeah. We know. We got that part.
Tree. So my question is where does my boundary end and their boundary begin?
Probably, maybe they respect the fact that you mow the grass, and that's about it.
No.
The rest is theirs. I don't know.
Wow, that sucks then. Because
I don't know though. I don't know. But you know, again, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Right. You just can't know. We're only throwing ideas or thoughts at it, but I guess if I was them, I'd think, well, that's his grass, so everything else is ours.
The trees start here. That is his. Yep. That's his. He can have that. Okay. Hey, Duke said something about check the MeWe chat.
Oh, okay, very good. Let's see what's going on in the MeWe chat. Duke of Earl. Duke of Earl. All right, let's see what's going on. Okay, here we go. Oh, cool. That's cool. Bigfoot sightings in Michigan. Okay, very cool.
Is that the Upper Peninsula?
No, this is Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
But it's leading to the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, I got you.
But here's the thumb of Michigan. Now, if you look at Michigan, the lower Michigan, the thumb over here is by the Detroit area, and then you go up here, and then the Upper Peninsula is up here.
Oh, the mid, right.
Right, the hand. I used to live over in a place just out of Flint for a while in Lapeer, Michigan. So let's see I'm going to have to drag this over.
Wow.
So this is sightings in the thumb of Michigan. Let me get it on screen here. And you can see that, my God, that's a lot of sightings for that area. Now, I don't know much about this area particularly, but I'm thinking Detroit is over here. I don't know if this really wooded area or is this mostly agriculture or what's going on over here. I don't know. Duke, if you can let us know, is this part of Michigan pretty forested, or is this more developed? And what are we looking at? I lived more here. If you're looking at that lower mid, I was over here. So I wasn't in the thumb area.
I lived here.
I lived
in
here.
the palm.
Yeah, well, it's kind of on the the backside of the palm.
That's where
here.
I mow the palm.
You mow your palm. Okay. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, there's the Upper Peninsula. Okay, there we go.
So you got it all sorted?
Yeah, I actually Googled the thumb of Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And it came right up.
Well, I just wonder if that's mostly forest land or what, but that's a lot of activity. I don't know what date range were we talking since records were kept, or is this a specific date range too? I don't know, but I'm going to look at this a second and see. Yeah, it's the thumb of Michigan, and then we got Minnesota here, and this is Duke's old stomping grounds as well as mine. Now, I was down here, in this area down here, and Duke was somewhere up here. I forget where he said he was, but I think he was way up here somewhere. So I was way down here in Goodhue County. But, you can see that. But there's still forest areas down here, but it's primarily agriculture in my area.
Right. So Gemini says the thumb is a lot of farming.
Oh, okay.
A lot of farming.
Okay, so it is a lot of agriculture, which would still fits because they, I do believe they are so adaptable. These beings are so incredibly adaptable. They can seem to survive everywhere from deep forest to more urban locations to agricultural areas to deserts. I mean, they've been sighted down in Mexico,
right.
And everywhere in between, into the high deserts of Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, everywhere.
Right.
They just don't seem to have problem adapting. Whereas dogmen are always found near water. I mean, they're waterways that they seem to use as they're moving.
Crap.
What?
We live in one of the 5 largest lakes in the world.
Right, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of claims or sightings there are up here. I know Cindy claims that there's some up
she
here.
mentioned something just the other day, and I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to talk to her either, but I want to get a hold of her and find out what she meant. But my God, look at that arrowhead. This is called the Arrowhead region of the state, and you can see how clustered those reports are.
Now, Duke says for both maps, that's the entire range. So that's every reported sighting.
Look at that cluster, though.
In modern history, I would imagine since 76.
So if I was in Minnesota hunting for Bigfoot,
I would go there.
I would go here. Yeah, and now this is pretty rugged area. This is very, very undeveloped. There's some, this is like Duluth here in Superior, Wisconsin. But there's towns up here, but they're mostly smaller towns. I think Thunder Bay is up here somewhere, or maybe even further, but that's Canada. But this gets pretty rugged up here, so this would be a good place to check. Look at that clusters, though.
I know.
My God. Now, the thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is these maps do not represent where Sasquatch are. These maps are just representing where people have observed them.
Right.
And those are two very different things. I mean, so this shouldn't be used as a way to look for population, but I mean, just the fact that people are seeing them so much in here.
Because that's such a small area, it could just be just a couple around that area, and they just get spotted a lot.
Maybe they just don't care.
They're the doorknobs of the Bigfoot world. Hey, how are you? How you doing? Hi. Hi.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi.
So it could be.
They left me here because I'm defective.
Well, that could be the rogue, right? So that's
good point. Yeah.
Those are where they dump the rogues. But I don't know. But again, that looks like a.
Mister.
I'm just really impressed because that map is. There's no white or gray coming through. It's all green.
Well, now that's one of the Great Lakes, right?
This is Superior.
Superior. Okay. So then then north of that is Canada, then, right?
This is Canada right here. Yep.
So that's walking into Miss Moonshadow's area, I believe.
Yeah, in Ontario, isn't she in Ontario? Yeah. Yep. So she'll be on Saturday as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, she will.
Yep. Robin will be on Saturday, and I'm doing the Paranormal Roundtable on Friday. So, yep, we moved the dates because everything didn't work out. It's harder with the Paranormal Roundtable because there's so many schedules.
Right. Yeah,
so that one worked better on Friday, so we just shifted them.
Right.
And everybody was really agreeable and flexible, so that worked out great. Yeah, I mean, this is really impressive. Really impressive.
Wow.
So, but those are some great maps, Duke. Thank you so much. It doesn't surprise me. He would have these resources at hand. That's awesome. Duke, you are the encyclopedia for sure. All right. So that was Utah, ladies and gentlemen. Was there another state anybody wanted to hear what Bigfoot stuff has been going on in your area?
Oh, hell, just pick one from the peninsula of Washington.
Oh, well, God. There's got to be a ton of them.
There was, but I mean, well, I don't know. There was a lot from Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
you tell me where.
Oh, you know what?
You're going to have to tell me what area is.
Grace Harbor County, 1978.
Where?
Keep going.
Oh, here? Yeah. Okay, from
this
1978.
This is from my neck of the woods.
Grace Harbor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Grace Harbor County, Washington, 1978. I was 16 at the time and visiting my relatives that live in
Hump Tulips.
Hump Tulips.
That is my area.
Oh, okay. That live in Hump Tulips on the Bowes Road, Washington State, for the summer. Now, I've always been a light sleeper, and that night I was no different. I was awakened by the dog, a large German Shepherd, barking wildly outside. I cannot say why she did not wake anybody else up, because it was obvious to me that something was wrong outside. Not like a dog just barking at a rabbit or whatnot.
Here comes rabbits again.
All I can think of is I was visiting from the city and not used to the quiet of the country or hearing a dog bark at night. I got up and looked out the window to see if I could locate her, and I remember looking at the alarm clock, and it was a little after 3 a.m. My aunt and uncle always had a large mercury light on a pole outside of the front door as a kind of night light, porch light for the parking area, so it was easy to see. At first, when I looked out the window, I couldn't see the dog, as she was around the corner of the house barking wildly like I had never seen her bark before. And then I saw her come around the front, and she was making a half-moon circle from the end of the house to the mercury light pole as if to set up a perimeter of guard for the house. She was an average-sized shepherd, but very protective. I watched for a couple seconds before trying to see what she was so excited about, and then it came into my line of vision. It was traveling from the corner of the house towards the mercury light. It was massive and made the dog look like a puppy next to it. I recall she barely came up to its knees. The dog kept following it and barking and lunging threateningly, but it did not look like the beast was a little bit concerned, or the least bit concerned. It was all one color, a brown silvery color, like a grulla horse. I'm not sure what a grulla horse is, but that's what it looked like. And it did not have particularly long hair, maximum length, more than 1/2 inches. Its hair reminded me of what you would see on any summertime animal that had lost its winter coat. You know, the animal's covered in hair but not long hair. It was so strange the way he swung his arms, and it struck me as kind of silly looking, but it did not have a hump on its head or back. It was just thick and big, like a big man looks when he wears work coveralls under his normal clothes. He took 3 steps and was from the corner of the house to the tree line, and then the dog lunged at him one more time, and he turned to look down at her. It was shocking because my window was no more than 50 feet from it, where he was, and I could see his face plainly. He looked like a person, but his face was still the same shade, perhaps slightly lighter than his body, head, and neck hair. His eyes were looking down at the dog, so I couldn't discern any color, but his nose and lips were not monkey or ape-like at all. They looked human. He was almost to the tree line, and he looked back at the tree, lifted his left arm, and moved the tree bow aside so he could step under the tree into the darkness.
Wow.
I was in shock. I climbed back in bed and covered up to my neck in the blankets, waiting for the dog to quit barking, and it seemed like it took forever. I barely slept the rest of the night, and the next morning at the crack of dawn, I woke up my cousins and told them what I saw. It was the summer, and the ground was very dry, so dry that there was a coating of dust in the gravel driveway in places that had been mud puddles during the winter. And we went outside, and I was showing them where he went, and I could not believe it. And one of those dust puddles was a footprint. He had just left there before he stepped under the tree. And it was a perfect print of a large bare foot with 5 distinct toes. It was twice as big and wide as my 7.5 foot, and that was the clincher. Even if my mind wanted to explain away the huge figure as something other than a Bigfoot, I couldn't now. Well, everybody decided that I had been telling them the truth, and I stood there by the footprint still in kind of a daze. And I turned my head up to look at the tree bow that was way over my head, and I'm 5'4", and I remember raising my hands up as high as I could and jumping, and I still could not touch the branch. It was at least 3 feet over my head, and he had moved it aside because it was going to slap him in the face. Mm-hmm. So this was like nearly a 9-footer.
Wow.
I never forgot that night, and I never will. It still gives me chills when I recount the story to others. It was clear that the creature was just passing through and intended no trouble, but it was still very creepy. Since that time, I've spent a lot of time in the timber by my house, in the same general area, horseback riding and hiking, and I've had many occasions to hear tree knocks, whistles, whoops, and even vocalizations. In fact, all of my family has heard those sounds, and I would love to see one again. What a privilege it was. Yeah, that's got to be amazing. And to see it from the safety of your window is pretty cool. You know, I mean, that's the way to see it, is if you're looking from a window.
You know, that's crazy though. That is my area.
There you go.
I still have family over there, and they always talk about they're heading to the Hump Tulips, which is actually also the name of a river that goes through there, the Hump Tulips River. There's there's a trestle that everybody jumped off of there. So yeah, that's
for like refreshment, like summer swimming, or
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
not like suicide.
No. Yeah, no.
Okay,
they were into the Hump Tulips River and swim. It's a hot spot for having parties and everything. So,
okay.
But I mean that's just so cool, you know, because when I was a kid, Bigfoot's in the hill over there, Beacon Hill behind the school,
Oh, did you guys talk about it a lot when you were a kid too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I was one of those kids. I never ever really. It might have been because I was just a loud kid. I was a really loud kid. Can you imagine that? Me being a loud kid. I'm a loud adult.
No, you're not very loud usually.
Oh.
Well, I haven't heard you yell though.
Well, no. I mean, but I've got a loud voice. I've been told. People have told me that I don't know how to whisper, and I really don't.
Oh.
I just know how to project my voice. From
Note
way
to self:
down
tell
below.
Don no secrets.
I didn't say I was a microphone. I said I had a loud voice.
Oh, no.
But anyhow, so I wonder if that's why I never got. It's like the lumberjack thing, Oscar As a matter of fact, 90% of my family over in the peninsula are lumberjacks.
And they haven't seen Bigfoot?
I have never heard one story.
Well, you're supposed to ask them.
I think I will now.
According to that other guy.
I certainly will now. I mean, I've got, 70, 75, 75-year-old cousins over there that were lumberjacks for their entire lives on the peninsula. And so, yeah, maybe I'll call them up and see if they can direct me into some more closer, on hand,
Sure.
I don't know, but I've never seen one. I've always been a skeptic about it. But
well,
I always said, I could believe. Inside voice, Don. Yes, thank you. And D says, I can't imagine that, Don.
It's like they know you.
It's not Hump Tula, it's Hump Tulips, like the flower, tulips, Hump Tulips.
Gotcha. Why is it named that, by the way? It's just the name of the river?
I couldn't tell you that. It's a lot of First Nations area, so it might have something. It may be a corruption of a name from that.
Oh, sure.
Because I was actually born in Aberdeen, but I grew up in Hoquiam, which is Hoquiam, Hoquiam.
No, I've seen that name come up.
Which
in
is
the Bigfoot stories, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's in Grace Harbor.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's like 20 miles. It's actually more like 20 or 30 miles from Hump Tulips, but anyhow. So yes, Hump Tulips. Yes, very good, Orange County girl.
Now, wouldn't you be interested? So you grew up in the area. Wouldn't it be cool to go back there, knowing what you know now, and see what you didn't see before? As far as seeing if you find tree breaks and seeing if you find any structures like that.
I guarantee that if we went there, we would.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not just simply because they're there, it's simply because other people are faking it.
Oh, you think so?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm sure there are people that fake it.
Because it's the Pacific Northwest. That is the quintessential Pacific Northwest.
It is. Yep.
And that's where,
that's the Olympic Peninsula, right?
It's the Olympic Peninsula, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is Sasquatch Central.
Isn't that where that old guy is running around in the bush? What's that guy's name? He had a TV show. Mick something, but yeah. He was like the wild man.
Yeah, you know what's funny though is I was watching that show. I was like, wait a minute, that's Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan's an ex. Wait a minute, that's Kevin Sullivan, the wrestler. What the hell's he doing there? But yeah, it's like Mick Dodge.
Yes,
the Adventures
Mick
of
Dodge.
Mick
Yes.
Dodge or something like that.
Is he an ex wrestler?
No, he has a neighbor who's an ex wrestler, and I remember because Kevin Sullivan used to come out. He had like he had like a pentagram on his forehead. He wore this cape, and he always had this girl with him. I like Desdemona or something like that.
Oh,
and I was like, whoa, she's hot.
Well, yeah.
But then again, I was only this tall. I was like, yeah.
So that
Sullivan,
is that the guy he always visits out in the woods that helps him build stuff?
Yeah.
That's the ex wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy does look huge.
Yeah.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's Kevin Sullivan, the wrestler. I was like, I didn't know he was there. But yeah, it's like Mick Dodge, The Adventures of Mick Dodge.
Yeah. I like that show. That's a fun show.
But yeah, I mean, that's that area.
I think it's glamorized a little bit.
Oh,
I don't think he's really out there roughing it.
I'm gonna Dodge, but yeah, I'm gonna Google it real quick, Washington State, and find out what exactly part he's in.
Right,
but yeah,
that is the Olympic Peninsula. How big is the Olympic Peninsula, by the way?
It's well, you know what, the Olympic Peninsula.
Is Facebook fixed, by the way?
I don't know if Facebook's fixed, but
I can't survive without Facebook.
Let's see. So, all right, so let's see here. The Olympic Peninsula is a temperate rainforest. Quinault, Queets, yep, I know all those names. The Olympic Mountain Range. Major salmon-bearing rivers. The Olympic Peninsula include clockwise from south Hump Tulips River, the Quinault, the Queets, the Quiute, blah, blah, blah. Natural lakes, yes. What is the area? Climate? No. Politics? No.
Did you just Google politics. What is the area? How much?
I'm on Wiki.
Okay, let me just Google. Not that I don't appreciate your research, but how big is the Olympic Peninsula? Whoops. Then I don't have to spell it. I can click on it. 1,442 miles squared.
Comprising of 3,600 square miles, the Olympic Peninsula contains many of the last unexplored places in the contiguous United States.
Well, unexplored. There you go.
There you go.
That's where the Sasquatch live, is the unexplored parts.
Exactly. So.
Oh, here we go. Duke has a great representation here to help you understand the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
And the thumb of.
Right. So let's review this for a second.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So this is the Michigan. This is the hand, when you hear it referred to as the hand. So I live down in this area of Flint, but here's the Upper Peninsula, and so here's Wisconsin, right here. It doesn't. Yeah, I was wrong. It's Minnesota, but it's Wisconsin. Sorry. I'm always geographically challenged, so I'm gonna get you in the neighborhood, but I wouldn't ask me for directions. I'm just saying. But this is the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and this is really, really rugged forested areas. And I don't care how much that dude drove around in his truck. He's not going to see everything. There's no way in hell.
No, absolutely.
There's no way in hell. Now, there's a lot of people that research up in this area as well for Bigfoot. But then again, the Michigan Dogman this is Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, and that's one of the places. Where's Linda Godfrey from? I'm trying to think where her area is. I think she's somewhere around here in this area. I'm not sure though. There's Menominee, so yeah. This is the Beast of Bray Road, of course, which ties in. You can see there's clearly. It's not like it's hard to get from Michigan to Wisconsin. Elkhorn. That's the name I was looking for, but I don't know where that would be. I don't know. I think she's up in the upper area here somewhere. But the Dogman legend, of course, and that's all around Lake Michigan. This is Lake Superior. This is where Minnesota is up here coming down. But, yeah, I mean, it's clearly not a landlocked peninsula.
No.
So there's plenty of avenues in and out. Now, additionally, Sasquatch are believed to be excellent swimmers. So,
yeah.
so I'm sure traversing some waterways for them is no problem. I think there was a sighting in Minnesota of a huge one, and there's photographs out there that allege to be this huge one walking through the water, but really deep water. But there's people that have observed them swimming around the San Juan Islands as well, Don.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, no surprise there.
Right.
Because that's where they can, pick up killer whale and,
I don't think they're that big, but they probably don't.
I mean, like swim, because you can grab onto their dorsal fin.
Did you ever do that, Don?
Hell no.
Just throwing it out there.
Would love to, actually. That'd be kind of cool. Killer whales aren't so as bad as people,
Well, no, but I still wouldn't want to grab onto their fin and find out.
Why not?
That's a mistake you only make once, Don.
Well, that's a mistake you could make twice.
Well, no, not if it's wrong. If it's a mistake, it's going to go bad.
Wait a minute. Time out. Because there was a diver that was just swallowed by a Ballotine whale, and the whale spit him back out.
Yeah, well, I don't think divers are on their menu.
Well, divers aren't on killer whales menus either.
I think killer whales.
It's a misnomer. It's a misnomer. They're orcas.
They eat other whales, and they eat sharks. They eat.
Are you trying
seals.
to say they're cannibals?
They eat seals.
What's your point? I'm not a seal.
Well, you look like a seal. I mean, we all do. When we're swimming.
From a rose.
Oh, don't sing, please. But. Yeah,
I just think that's a misnomer, and well, I don't think it is. I know it is, but I mean, they're not going to attack you unless they're absolutely starving.
Well, there you go. Maybe you're gonna latch onto the dorsal fin of a starving killer whale. I mean, you can't tell if it's well fed or not. It's not like the ribs show. Don't grab that one, Don. Its ribs are showing.
Its ribs are showing. You're crunchy with ketchup.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm looking up Mick Dodge, and it just says that it's the Olympic Peninsula. It doesn't say.
Yeah,
but
they probably don't want to let people know.
Source, but
I like that show though. I really do. I had a lot of fun watching it because he is crazy, but he's a cool kind of crazy,
Yeah, he's a crazy cool.
He's kind of like a new hippie, or something. I don't know. I mean, he's just out there.
The barefoot sensei, the barefoot.
Yeah.
The walking mountain.
Right. Now, I mean, you got to give the guy a lot of credit. As advanced in age as he is, and he's still leaping around and
he was
born
in 51. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's not a young duck anymore, man. He's been around. He's got some miles on the tires, and he's still out there in the forest jumping over logs and stuff. So, you got to give the guy some props.
He apparently he suffers from plantar fasciitis.
Plantar fasciitis. That's a foot thing. Yeah.
Back pain and hammer toes. Hammer toe.
Yeah, that's probably from being in shoes. All his,
Well, and that's part of his thing, though, is he also goes barefoot.
Yeah, and I'm sure that probably helps.
Oh,
I love barefoot, but that's just me. But I think we're about out of show.
Really? Are we? Wow, it's 7 minutes after 9.
It's 7 minutes after 9, and
Wow.
I really love this. I mean, it's been great doing the show as always with you, brother. I'm glad you were here.
Oh well, thank you. Wow, that chat is just either I'm just catching up or they're just moving.
It is. It's rolling.
Wow.
These people are chatting, dude.
I know they're a bunch of chatting.
That's what I love about this community, though, is you guys have this great community of and I know you guys are paying attention to us. You're a part of the show as well. But I just love that you guys have all these bonds and it's like a gathering of friends anymore. It's not like a random chat room. So. I don't know. What do you think? Is that about it?
Are we parodying Tiny Tim? Tiptoe to hump tulips.
Oh, God. Who said that?
Lewis.
Lewis. Jeez. Oh, no.
All right. Well, it's been a great show. I loved, when we first started the show, Brent was flagging. He was like, "Wow."
I was a little tired.
He was tired. He was like, "Oh."
I was about napping on the couch.
He's like, "Come on, fire it up." It's like we don't need to though because you hit that roll button.
Yeah.
And it just amps up by 1,000.
Duke says Sasquatch smash that like button.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Taz.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you so much. We are thrilled that you're here with us. Thank you. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow night. But
Thank
again,
you,
on
Russ.
Friday night, ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
we'll have MCAT, Mr. Mike Hetzel, and Lisa Martin and Dan Pruitt on, and we'll be doing a paranormal researcher roundtable. So
Nice.
if you have questions you'd like to ask them or have them address on the show, please, you can just email it to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I will make sure that the panel addresses your questions or,
Absolutely.
what you would like to know. So anything, if you want to know more about spirit box sessions, EVPs, you want to know about structured light sensors or, EMF or whatever, different equipment, different ideas or approaches, please let us know. So email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com before Friday night, if you would, because, there's always the option of course, having the phones or chat questions as we're able to see them. But on nights when Don isn't here, it's a little tougher for me to address those unless Julia and Diana let me know what your questions are happening. But I can't really watch the chat as much as I'd like. So, but that's the show for tonight, everybody. And again, Saturday, Robin Moonshadow will be here, and she'll be just sharing a whole bunch of encounters people have had with the little people and proto-pygmies. And it'll be a great show. So looking forward to all of these. But I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And find the laughter. And
if you can't, come visit us. Find laughter.
Oh. And as Duke would say, don't hug the Wookiee.
Don't hug the Wookiee. Special shout out to Duke. Thanks for giving a call in and weighing in on that most important topic that I felt discredited in. But
well,
now
you
I
were
feel
just
much better.
you were vindicated.
Yes, I
You
was.
were blessed by the Duke.
I was.
The Duke gave his blessing to
And
you.
thanks for everybody in chat. D, I'm sorry.
What?
She's crying. I love you.
I don't know what's going on
I
here.
love you. Well, I mentioned that Tiny Tim parody. And
Oh,
I
okay.
mentioned apparently she actually wrote a rendition of that, and
Okay.
I only saw what Lewis said. So
All right. Well,
props
thank
to
you,
both of
Nellie.
you.
Thank you, Nellie.
yes.
And a special thank you to Mr. Wes Germer for stopping in.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a real pleasure. You are one of my heroes. You and Duke and a few others are people that I cut my teeth on learning about Sasquatch and listening to your shows. So it's an honor to see you in the chat room and being a part of it. It's very humbling. So thank you for stopping in and saying hello to everybody. Very cool.
Alrighty.
All right, guys, but that about wraps up the show for tonight. So I'll be back tomorrow night for the bedtime stories, but be good, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.
So, good night.
See you Saturday.